Hey guys, thanks for tuning in again. My name is Kanad, and in today's video, we're going to talk about the reason why I will never buy a Gibson or a Fender guitar. Now that might sound dramatic, and maybe in a couple of years you're gonna see me with a Fender or a Gibson and then roast me because of this video, but I truly believe that there is no reason for me especially to buy a Fender guitar or a Gibson guitar when brands like Maybach exist. Now, if you're not new to the channel, you know that I really like Maybach guitars, and I've been working with them for a while, and they've sent me quite a lot of instruments for me to check out. And that, believe me or not, that is not the only reason why I don't want to buy a Gibson or a Fender just because I work with them on this YouTube channel. There's actually multiple reasons why I prefer Maybach guitars to Fender or Gibson, and for today, we have this Telemann T54, which is obviously a Telecaster design guitar. And we also have this Albatross 65 with two humbuckers, with two PAF style humbuckers. And it looks absolutely gorgeous. So we're gonna compare these with Gibsons, although I don't have any Gibsons or Fenders. So we're just gonna do a comparison on paper and see what that brings to the table. Although I don't have any Fenders or Gibsons to compare them with, I have played Fenders and Gibsons in the past, and I have some recollective memory of what they felt like, what they sounded like. I went to a shop in Frankfurt in Germany after 42 Gear Street, and I tried a couple of the standard SG guitars. So I knew that I was getting this from Maybach, and I wanted to try the Gibson variant so I can have something to compare it with. And what I can remember from that experience is that those SGs, especially the standard range, sounded completely dead to me unplugged. Plugged in, it was almost the same experience, because we all know, maybe you don't agree with that, maybe you do agree with that, but if a guitar is resonant unplugged, it's just gonna be a ringer even when you plug it in. So that was the experience that I gathered at that particular shop. I tried like 3 or 4 SGs maybe from the standard range, and none of them left a good impression on me. Until we got to the Murphy Lab guitars, and those were great, but those were also 7,000 euros. Now ideally, I would have all the guitars and compare them to each other and show you how I feel about them in real time. But what I think makes this more interesting is the fact that even if you read the spec sheet, so even on paper, when you compare a Maybach to a Gibson or a Fender, you're gonna see that you're getting much more value with the Maybach. So what we're gonna do now is I'm going on my phone as we speak on Thomann and try to find, first of all, a model that compares with both these guitars and read the spec sheets, because I get a lot of comments saying that Maybach costs almost the same and sometimes more than a Fender or a Gibson, so why would you choose a Maybach instead? Now my answer to that is not everything is comparable to these Maybachs. So for example, a standard SG guitar from Gibson is not comparable with a Maybach Albatross, and I'll show you why. I just pulled up a Gibson SG 61 standard on Thomann, and the price for that is 1,690 euros. And this Maybach that I'm holding right here will clock you in at around 2,000 euros. Now, there is a price difference, but let me tell you something, these guitars are not the same. So first of all, starting from the most fundamental part, the woods on this guitar are basically cherry picked by the owners of Maybach guitars. They go to the factory and they pick out the wood, and these guitars are very resonant and very light, unlike the Gibson SG standards that I tried at that shop in Frankfurt. The hardware on here is superior. It's Goto made in Japan. It's tried and tested, and they're amazing. Pickups on here are Amber pickups. They're made in Germany. It's a third-party company that is not affiliated with Maybach, but they like working with them, and these pickups are really, really nice. They have Jazzgar frets, they have Goto tuners, so all the hardware, CTS pots, the switch is really nice. So everything you find on this guitar is just incredible. And to top it all off, they have aging on the guitar. So if you want one scratch from Gibson, that's going to cost you a lot of money. But these guitars are beautifully aged, and they're finished in nitrocellulose, and that means they're going to age even further as much as you play them. So at this point, I'm not saying that Gibson, they don't make good guitars. They do make great guitars. But if you go to the Murphy Lab in the custom shop, so basically this guitar with the aging and everything can only compare to a Gibson custom shop or Murphy Lab guitar. So yes, there is a price increase going from a standard Gibson to a Maybach Albatross. But with the differences that I just explained to you, especially the aging and everything, it's comparable to a custom shop or even a Murphy Lab. And if you just check it out on Thomann, a Murphy Lab would clock you in almost at 7,000 euros. So now this price really, really makes sense. And even if you go VOS that Gibson offers, that will be closer to 4 grand, which means 2 grand more for basically the same guitar. Because even I don't think VOS does the aging process, so it's comparable mostly to a Murphy Lab, which again is gonna set you at 7,000 euros. Now this is only 2,000 euros, and it's mind-blowing that this guitar can be that price. Now let's do the same thing with a Fender guitar. So I have a Maybach Telemann T54, which is obviously inspired by a 50s Telecaster, and it has a gorgeous finish. Again, it's beautifully aged. It has amber pickups, Goto made in Japan bridge, Goto made in Japan tuners. The bridge is also aged a little bit, and it has a really cool vibe. Now, the closest thing you can compare this price-wise with a Fender is the American Pro 2, which is a good guitar. I've played one, and they're great guitars, but they don't offer the same value as this one. Again, you have the aging. Even the body is made out of pine. Really, really nice piece of pine because it's light and resonant. And it's closer to the Fenders that were first manufactured back in the 50s. Those were made out of pine. But in this case, the American Professional 2 will cost you even more than this one. Now this one will clock you in at around 17 or 1800. I'm not quite sure about the price at the moment, but I know that a Fender American Pro will be closer to 2 grand. And the other one, which is more comparable to this one, would be the American Vintage Reissue 2. And that will cost you around 2200 euros. Now that also has a nitro finish just like this one, but it doesn't have the aging. So the only price point where you can see aging on a Fender or a Gibson is the custom shop. And prices for those start from 4 grand up to infinity. So what I'm trying to say is you're gonna get a really nice guitar with really nice aging if you're into that for a very reasonable price if you choose to buy Maybach. Now it all comes down to value for money for me especially. If I know that there's a Maybach Telecaster that has beautiful aging and only costs 1800, I would never go out and spend my money on a custom shop Telecaster that would set me like 5,000 euros, which is insane. And I wouldn't even buy a American Vintage Reissue because that doesn't have the aging that I like. So why would I spend more money for something that I don't want? And why not spend it in a place where you can get a lot of value from? Another thing is that Maybach Guitars is actually a family business. Not everyone knows that, and they're great people. They're great people to work with. I don't know, I just really like them. And I want them to succeed, not just because I know them and they're good people, but because they have a very nice product. With Fender and Gibson, they have, I don't know, the owner of Gibson owns Levi's jeans or whatever. They really don't care about guitar. They just care about pushing product and getting your money, and that's about it. Of course, they work with cool artists and everything like that, but it's mostly a business at that point. I've seen Tony, the owner of Maybach, on Facebook groups commenting and answering questions that Maybach owners have about their guitars. I mean, that's crazy. The owner of a company on Facebook answering questions of people buying their instruments. So consider that when buying a guitar as well. I wouldn't want my money to go to, it's gonna start something political, but I feel much more comfortable if my money goes to a family that's just trying to make the best they can with these gorgeous instruments. Please let me know under the comment section what you think about this comparison. Would you be open to buy a Maybach instead of a Fender or a Gibson, or you want to stick with Fender or Gibson just to have that logo and that tradition on your headstock? I would be really interested to see and hear what you guys think about that. So that's going to be it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. I'm not trying to sell you these Maybach guitars, although they're great guitars and I really think you should get a hold of them. I'm just trying to put some attention to where your money is going, what kind of value you can get from different kinds of brands. And I think Maybach at the moment is offering a great value for their customers. Please make sure to subscribe to the channel, leave a like on this video, and leave a comment because that really helps me out on my journey here on YouTube. I think this video will go live before the 31st of December, so I want to thank you for an amazing year. Thank you so much for watching my videos, and I wish you have a great new year, a great new start of the new year, and I hope you enjoyed the holidays. Until then, I'm gonna catch you with a next video, hopefully. Have a good one. Bye-bye.